On the record,
we're getting back into it. Let me see how much time we have left. Oh, we should be right on time. Perfect.
I asked Kathy, the court reporter, to check her notes.
Free Kathy, man.
Do that.
I don't know if it's a C or a K, but free that lady.
The indirect reference, it's not even clear, to Relli and embracing perjury. So far, Kathy has not found the word suborn. Embracing perjury, I don't even know what that means. But from here on out, if any counsel wants to state that a witness committed perjury, that's fair game. But I do not want either directly or indirectly any counsel accusing the other one of suborning perjury, encouraging perjury, touching on perjury. I don't want the word counsel and perjury being used together.
But still, yeah, Joe said, let me let Joe cook for a minute, but still, they already proved this. Their witness got up here. They played the phone calls for him. Nah, that's not me. That's fake. No, that's not me. That's not me. That wasn't me. I didn't make those phone calls. I didn't even talk to him. Okay, fine, whatever. Then they come to the closing arguments and they play the phone calls that Relli said weren't real and didn't exist. We can't just brush past that. It's plain as day, Your Honor. Like, what are we even arguing here?
Touching on perjury, I don't want the word counsel and perjury being used together.
Turning a blind eye?
What?
Turning a blind eye.
They did.
It's improper. It's not only untrue, it's improper.
Yeah, and stay away from that. They're only, they're winning at all costs.
It's true, Judge. Come on now.
Well, it's fair comment on the evidence.
They can say about the evidence, they cannot say prosecution.
He's still arguing.
All they care about is winning their
John,
case.
chill.
All they care about justice. That there's
He said free.
Yeah, no, that's over.
the judge
Stay away from
He
that.
said Kathy needs a cheesecake.
No, I don't. And I know it's not. All right, so stay away from what the prosecution's motives are. Talk about the witnesses. Don't talk about the prosecution's motive. And when Mr. Lewin speaks, you're not to talk about the motives of Mr. Tacopino or Mr. Seaman.
Joe, you're free to comment on, hey, they can call this witness, etc., just not that extra step.
All right.
Well, my expectation will be much shorter now.
What's that?
My expectation will be much shorter now, so.
I doubt that. Let's bring it here. Okay, we're going to start at 9 o'clock. Folks, 9 a.m.
All right.
Yeah, this whole situation's a mess. Let's see if we can skip through some of this. Skip the BS. And let Joe get back in the kitchen. There we go.
9:30. 9.
Robert, if someone may have a problem.
Who's got a problem with 9?
Aside from me? Aside from me?
Yes,
Oh, so-
I don't have a problem. I'm not sure that I can make it by 9. I mean, I have to drop off my kids in the
Oh.
morning, so I come right after.
Can you do your best?
Yeah, of course.
All right. I'm gonna order everybody to be here at 9, but try to get here at 9. But if you're late, you're late. I understand. Dropping off your kids is important. So be here at 9.
Shout out to all the good moms out there dropping off their kids, man.
We're back on the record. All parties, counsel, and jurors are present.
Okay, folks, so I think we left off when I was discussing with you all the whole notion of the person who used to be Relli is not Relli anymore, apparently, who came back at 11:09 to the scene to retrieve shell casings. Now, again, his story changed. Ultimately, he said it wasn't him, so some mystery man showed up at the scene at 11:09, apparently. So one of two things happened here. Either that really was Relli, like you first said, on the video, coming back at 11:09, staying for 2 minutes, returned to the scene, and he lied, of course, then, about being there with his girlfriend, if that was him, and about taking photos of the shell casings while there, because those photos weren't taken until 11:45. Or the prosecution has absolutely no evidence whatsoever that he ever returned to the scene. Ever. Whichever one you choose, the prosecution has no evidence at all that Relli actually recovered those shell casings from the scene. You could have called his girlfriend, Miss Parker, to back up his claim. Yes.
We talked
She's probably
about that.
busy doing what she does, but she didn't show up.
Why do y'all think the girlfriend didn't show up or they didn't call her? Did he say that they called her and she didn't show up? What happened here? Why do y'all think she didn't show up? That's a big deal.
Whatsoever that he ever returned to the scene. Ever.
I mentioned this
Whichever one
yesterday.
you choose, the prosecution has no evidence at all that Relli actually recovered those shell casings from the scene.
Zero.
You could have called his girlfriend, Miss Parker, to back up his claim. Yes. She's probably busy doing what she does, but she didn't show up.
She didn't show up.
Their burden, corroborated with witnesses. I mean, the word of Relli, I think, is a fair question. There are a lot of things in this case that are going to be easy to corroborate of his word, if they're true. I'm going to show you a little list. Those sort of pull effort together, but not yet. But there is no corroboration, and they couldn't. Lydia Parker could come in here and say, yes, I went back with him. We found 2 shell casings. She's still his girlfriend, apparently. No evidence whatsoever that he took the shell casing while at the scene. While on that point, by the way,
Yep.
the photos taken with Relli's iPhone of the alleged shell casing, allegedly taken at the scene, but not until 11:45, an hour and a half afterwards, they had time date stamps on them. But what you didn't see from the prosecution was the GPS location data for those digital photos on Relli's phone. Why? I mean,
You
they
should.
didn't show you, what else they didn't show you was GPS location data from Relli's iPhone to show you where Relli was on November 6, 2021. That would solve a lot of mysteries here. It's not like they couldn't have done it. GPS location data from Relli's iPhone, which they had. That would have answered all the questions. They're corroborated or not. After all, you heard that law enforcement, in this case, went out of their way to get a search warrant to obtain GPS location data for ASAP Ill's iPhone, just to show that he was, one, near Selma Avenue and East Del Mar about 10:12 p.m. on November 6th. It showed that in his location data. And he was near Rocky's residence at 11:11 p.m. that night. That's from Detective Flores' testimony, lest there be any confusion. The question was asked, and specifically, this is important because it showed they could have gotten GPS location data from their only witness who's not corroborated, and whose word may be a little shaky. And specifically, the T-Mobile information law enforcement obtained authorized to search Elijah Ulunger's, ASAP Ill's, his call detail records and his GPS location. Detective Flores is correct. And the GPS location data, I should say, answer yes, okay. And those records, the GPS location data that you all were able to obtain, showed that Elijah Ulunga, ASAP Ill's cell phone was near Selma Avenue and East Del Mar at approximately 10:12 p.m. on November 6th. Answer, I believe that's correct. Question. Those records also show that Ills, I'm just going to refer to Mr. Ills for the purpose of moving this thing along a little bit, ASAP Ill's cell phone was near Mr. Mayor's residence at 11:11 p.m. later that night. Answer, yes. Subsequently, after, yes. Well, what that shows you, that not only had they had the ability to do that, they in fact did it. But why just for Ills? Why not for Relli, who claims he came back and found shell casings? That would put an end to this mystery. Was he there? Was he with his girlfriend? Was he not there? You heard again. There was no dispute, by the way, about Ills that he was at Selma, at East Del Mar and Selma that night during the incident. You see him on video. And rather than looking to see where Hills was at 11 p.m., why didn't they use Relli's GPS data to show you where he was at 11 p.m.? Was that him? Was that not him? Did you ever go back at 11:45? This would have answered all your questions, either corroborated the story or not. Would have put the line to it again. It would have also shown you where those iPhone photos of the shell casings were taken. Instead, you have to take his word for it. You just have to take his word for it. Yes, they could have done it. They did it with Hills for some reason, but not for Relli. So just take his word for it. If the word of any witness ever deserved to be tested in this case, it's Relli. I mean, it's a man whose tongue is a stranger to the truth. And they could have easily corroborated his story or shown that his story was not true.
Dang, I'm gonna get that on a t-shirt. He said he's a man whose tongue is a stranger to the truth. Sheesh. Oh my goodness. We gotta run that back.
If the word of any witness ever deserved to be tested in this case,
Oh my gosh.
it's Relli. I mean, it's a man whose tongue is a stranger to the truth. And they could have easily corroborated his story or shown that his story was not true. They just didn't do it.
How long y'all think it took him to write that part?
That he wouldn't want anyone other
Jeez.
than the police taking evidence from the scene because that could hamper and hinder an investigation. This is obviously fairly important. As a detective, I asked him, you'd agree when conducting an investigation of an alleged shooting, you wouldn't want anyone who's not law enforcement removing evidence or taking evidence from the scene, right? Answer correct. Because that could hamper and hinder your investigation. Answer, it can. And that makes sense, because once evidence is contaminated, once an alleged crime scene is contaminated, there's no way to undo that, no way. You never get a second chance at it. If you want reliable information from a scene, it cannot be tampered with, it cannot be staged. If it's staged, it's useless. It's pointless to review it, because whatever you see, you have to reject. You have to. And that's exactly what Relli says he did here. And that's why it was even more important for the detectives to test his word by looking to corroborate it, but they never did that. To be clear, the prosecution just wants you to take Relli's word that he found shell casings at the scene. That's it, just take his word. After all, they presented to you nothing to corroborate it when they easily could have. And just ask yourselves, if Lydia Parker, Mr. Relli's girlfriend, could readily corroborate his claim, don't you take the word from her? The fact is, Relli didn't want her anywhere near the storeroom. Anywhere near the storeroom. Remember when I showed him a picture of Miss Parker, his girlfriend? And I said, is that your girlfriend? He said, I don't know.
Is this Miss Parker? You don't know that you are? No, they would be yes or no. That is my girlfriend.
I think TV does with that now, so I'm just disturbed by that photo. But anyway, back to more important things. What he just said was, I don't know if that's my girlfriend. I mean, just anything he tells the truth about, I don't know if that's my girlfriend. That's not, I don't know. That's either yes or no. He couldn't recognize his girlfriend at one point. He said, oh, she had makeup on. I mean, we're not talking about clown makeup, right? I mean, she literally said, my girlfriend. Why lie about that? Aside from his name, I don't even know if that's really his name. Did he not lie about anything in this case? I mean, you know that wasn't truthful testimony. He didn't want the only person who could or couldn't corroborate his story to be anywhere near this courtroom. That's the end of the day. The judge told you, the defense does not have the burden to do anything in this case. They do. They had the burden. We don't have to prove anything. We didn't have to introduce a single piece of evidence. We didn't have to produce a witness. That's because the laws of the United States and the Constitution demand that. But as a matter of fact, we had more substantive witnesses in this case to testify than the prosecution did. We want to give you the complete picture, all the evidence, because we want you to know the truth. And there's nothing to hide. Rocky did not commit a crime, not by a long shot. Why? Again, and you need the answer as to why they didn't show you the GPS records of Relli. What if they're showing where he actually went after the incident? From the incident, where did he go for that hour and a half? And where did he take those pictures from? That would have been important, especially if there's any question that that video may not have been shown to Relli returning. If that wasn't him returning to the scene at 11:09, 11:11. So where was he really at that time? Unfortunately, we don't ever get no answer. To say that his GPS location information. We're just supposed to accept his word that he didn't go somewhere else to get showcased. So we just have to accept it. And the judge gave instructions on this about the credibility of the witnesses, and it's in your, you can take it back with you there. But it says that a witness lies to you on an important fact in the case or in his testimony. You can feel free to disregard the entire testimony of that witness, or you can just disregard that one fact and believe the rest. But he lied to you about so many crucial things. I'm not talking about his inconsistencies. Again, we'd be here until the summer. He lied to you about the most crucial facts in this case. You know, by the way, this is not someone who's uncomfortable around guns. You heard he owns a 9, he posts those pictures on the Instagram. It's 9mm sticking out of his waist, he said. You heard he owns 9mm semi-automatic. We've never seen proof or where he actually obtained it. Second, he blatantly lied about his access to the 9mm shell casings in Los Angeles. That's another account of perjury. And that was a big one. And we have to talk about this. We have to spend a little time on this one because what happened there was very crucial. He lied about having access to 9mm shell casings 2 weeks before the incident on November 6th. He lied to him. He lied about being in Los Angeles. He lied about having access to shell casings. He lied about shooting. I'm going to show it to you. This next episode is not even one lie or one perjury. It was like a perjury miniseries. This next one. It was unbelievable. One lie piled onto the next one, onto the next one. You got caught with that, then he went to another. It really was a glorious training. And you're going to see it. I mean, I asked him first if he fired a 9mm weapon before November 6, 2021. Sort of an important fact. Because we didn't have access to 9mm shell casings. First he said, no, absolutely not.
Lie.
Then I wanted to make sure, I wanted to almost help him give me a truthful answer. I said, well, how about at a shooting range a few weeks before November 6th? Did you fire a 9mm at a shooting range? Trying to tip him off on November 6th, 2021. He said, definitely not. And I repeat, I said, definitely not? And he goes belligerent me, he says, you heard me, definitely not. I didn't even own a firearm, he said. I only got my firearm license a year and a half later. Listen.
Let's move closer to the time of the incident on November 6th of 2021.
Sounds a lot.
A few weeks before November 6th, 2021. And a few weeks before, you testified that you found shell casings at the scene. 9mm shell casing. You fired 9mm weapons at a shooting range, correct? Definitely not. Definitely not. You heard me. Definitely not. I identified on
He said definitely not.
I didn't have with it.
So, you heard me, like the office. You did not like me, clearly. Look, I asked
Come on,
you,
really?
that answer. You heard me. Well, yes, you heard me. Definitely not. I didn't even own a firearm. I only got my firearm license a year and a half later. Lies, 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 lies. And that's when we all saw the video of Mr. Efron firing a 9mm semi-automatic weapon on October 19, 2021, 2 weeks before the incident on November 6th. And I pointed out to Ms. Efron, I said, what you just told this jury was that before November 6, 2021, you didn't fire any guns because you didn't have your license. And then he said, no, unless I was at a shooting range. And I said to him, sir, I just asked you, were you at a shooting range? And you said, definitely not. And I asked you again, and you said, you heard me, definitely not. He just made stuff up as he went along. Look at this.
Mr. Efron, what you just told this jury, I don't know what I'm doing in 2016. 2019 by the end of the year. Someone before November 6, 2021, you didn't fire any guns. Because you didn't have this. You know, it was just last time I took shooting range.
I mean, you just saw his testimony, which was about 1.5 minutes earlier, where I said, was that a shooting range, please? Maybe he did that? Definitely not. Twice that. And then explained why it was definitely not, because he didn't even have his firearms license or whatever. When he got busted with the video that he didn't think anyone had, because it was not brought out on his direct, of course, he said, I said unless I was at a shooting range. He just thinks he can make that up in front of you. Like, he just told you definitely not at a shooting range, and then just in front of you, like, I don't know, guys. I mean, there has to be a point in time where you have to be so offended by him just looking at you guys and lying. He's took an oath. An oath. You know what oath means absolutely nothing to him. Absolutely nothing.
True.
He didn't say that. That was blatant perjury right there. You should witness another count of blatant perjury. But what happened in the courtroom after that, I think made me worse.
It's true.
After...
Look at John down
Let's see
here like,
what happened. Because this was now all about, okay, so now we got him firing a gun. Don't play that yet, please. We have him firing a gun before November 6, 2021. We have him firing a 9mm. He lied about it repeatedly. And then, so after securing the date of the 9mm firing of October 19, 2021, I tried to ascertain the location of the shooting range. And the prosecution then asked for a stipulation. You're going to hear that the shooting range was taken outside of California. And the witness all of a sudden adopted that. Let's look at this.
And where is it? And where is it located? It's located in this open trail. So we have a stipulation on that too. On that date, this is outside of California. Where was it?
There was this stipulation, but at the time, I believe all parties in good faith believed that the shooting range was outside of California. No one is at fault. It's what the parties believed at that time.
Well, I didn't believe anything, so I didn't know. I'm not saying anyone's at fault around. I'm just showing how it's played out with the witness. He put on the witness.
Right.
How he adopted.
The prosecution asked for a stipulation based on what has happened so far up until this point. They believed in good faith that it was outside California. The fact that it wasn't came as a surprise, I believe, to everybody.
Well, except the witness, which I don't argue.
wow.
Everybody at counsel table.
Yeah, not believing anyone counts it, but I just want to just let this play out. How the witness.
New Jersey is yes. It's not.
The same objectives, improper argument, total offense.
I explained to the jury. Go ahead.
New Jersey is something like that.
Let's sit back and enjoy the show, John.
Next line. Last line was not Los Angeles, or not LA. So anyway, the witness then said, after hearing whatever he heard in the courtroom, the banter, he then said, well, maybe it was probably New Jersey, something like that, but it's not LA. I knew that, for sure. He knew that. So, understand what just happened there. The witness, all of a sudden, after lying about all those things we just went through, and I'll repeat them again, then heard argument and said, oh, but it's not LA, it's maybe New Jersey. Because being in LA, that would have been a problem. But something happened over the weekend, little problem for Mr. Relli. See, on Sunday, between 2 p.m., and he was on Friday, I was on Friday. On Sunday, between 2 p.m. and 2:11 p.m., someone on Twitter posted a screenshot that you still heard about, of a video showing Relli at the shooting range that was played before you, alongside a picture of the Los Angeles Gun Club. Locations right there. They were the same. Relli was tagged on that, everyone was tagged. So what did Relli do? Sometime between 2 o'clock and 2:50 that same day, immediately, he calls the prosecution and says, oh, I checked my Instagram account and I realized I was in Los Angeles on November 19, 2021. And I realized I was at a shooting range. And what's the reason prosecution elicited from Relli as to why he made that discovery? Well, he was going back to check his Instagram account on whether the shooting range was in Los Angeles because he wanted to correct any mistakes he made. So it's true. Something to say, but that's literally what he said to you. He really was concerned about making any mistakes, so he wanted to make sure he checked his Instagram account to see if he made any mistakes. First of all, I asked him, see, your Instagram account doesn't have anything about the gun range. And he starts saying, that's not my Instagram account. Well, aren't you really boss? Yeah, but, okay. Okay, folks. I guess he didn't go bother checking all his other so-called mistakes that he made. Just that one. Just that one that happened to have a post busting him at 2 o'clock. Within minutes, he calls the prosecutor. He was tagged on the post. Within minutes, he called the prosecutor. What a coincidence. You know, what about all the other mistakes? What executives did you meet at Capitol Records and Universal Records that you no longer meet because of what happened here? You couldn't mention the name of anyone he met with. But he said they were on his phone. He could check his phone. Oh, here you go. He was checking his phone to correct the record here. That didn't happen. How about the Miami property, Mr. Relli, that you invested in? I mean, last year, it was only last year, sir. You invested in Miami property and you posted on your Instagram. I asked him, which property in Miami did you invest in? I don't remember which property. Lied. I mean, no one invests in property doesn't remember which property. Unless you're a gazillionaire, and that doesn't matter. And he's not. And then I asked him, well, how much did you invest in property? I don't remember. He didn't go back and check that. So remember that, just remember that one, how that all played out here when considering his credibility. Relli told you, it's not that, there's so many things, the Miami property thing, that was just nonsense. But this was horrific. You got caught lying. It's made in New Jersey, definitely not LA. I went back and checked, it was definitely LA. That's clear perjury.
It is, he's right.
So you know he didn't check his Instagram account, wanted to correct a mistake about whether the shooting range was in LA. That wasn't truthful testimony. You've seen him testify in this courtroom. The witness who told you, when he said definitely not, he was committing perjury, because that was his then answer. He cleared that up. I'm going to show you this in a second. When he said definitely not to me, I questioned him. I said, you said definitely not. Because then he got busted with the Twitter thing. And he said, well, yeah, I just made that up because I didn't want to answer any of my questions, any of your questions anymore. He literally said to you, he just lied under oath on a very important fact, like what he had access to non-military shell casings, because he was tired of answering my questions. I'm just going to lie to you.
Well, this one on this topic, it's rare, just 3 minutes ago. Okay, yes, I did. Okay, you said yes, yes. Did you look like you were confused by that question at all when you said, definitely not? And to be honest, I just wanted to start talking to you.
So, did you look like you were confused by that question? Well, I was confused by that also now.
Come on,
when
man.
you said definitely not, I didn't shoot a 9mm at a shooting range before November 6th. Definitely not. So you look like you're confused. Then she goes, to be honest, oh, here we go. There's a watershed moment. To be honest with you, I just want to stop up with you. So I just said, Jesus. Just give me my $30 million and let's get this over with. He just told him to perjure himself. But you should believe him without corroboration. We all know it wasn't mere coincidence that minutes after that post that he was tagged on, he told the DA. He called because he knew what was coming the next day on Monday morning. He knew what was coming. And as for the prosecution wanting to correct that mistake, I'll hold that. Let me move on. But again, that is not a minor factor in this case. That's not a minor factor. It's not a game. This is life. Whether their so-called victim, Tyrell Efron, had access to 9mm shell casings just a few weeks before defendants were found 2 9mm shell casings in Los Angeles. Yes, he did in the same city. He had access in the same city. Here's the funny thing about facts. Because facts weren't getting in his way. But the funny thing about facts is this, as John Adams once said, it's one of my favorite quotes. John Adams said, facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passions, they do not alter the state of facts and evidence. And you cannot alter the state of facts and evidence, no matter what Relli tells you, no matter how you want to interpret his testimony, no matter what they say. So with this evidence, ask yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, did Relli first lie to you about going to a shooting range where he had access to 9mm shell casings, and then lie to you again about having access to those 9mm shell casings here in Los Angeles? I mean, why would he do that? Why would he lie about those two things? There'd be no reason for him to lie about that unless it was to cover up something about those 9mm shell casings he claims he recovered. No reason to lie about that. You know exactly what happened, why he lied about it. As the police found when they got there, there was no shell casings there because he had a pop gun. He had a pop gun, as unimpeached witnesses told you. And he claims that he got these shell casings from the scene an hour and whatever later, a half later. And then he held them for 2 days, gave them to the police 2 days later.
Yes, the jury is paid daily.
When his extortion attempts failed. One thing's clear, the prosecution has not proven it beyond a reasonable doubt that Relli did not get those shell casings from somewhere other than the scene. They did not prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. That's enough. That's enough.